Hey, what's going on? This is week two of our Agent of the Week series where we're going to break down how AI agents works. And we're specifically going to show you a specific AI agent that you could use in your business and what they do, what's the practical use cases, workflows, things like that. So last week we started out with the speaker suite, which is actually a combination of agents. It was a very sharpshooter, very specific use case. Again, and every agent I'm showing, these are agents that I use every day or every week in my business. This isn't theory. This isn't just randomly finding stuff online. I'm going to show you the things I'm doing and the things that's working. So again, last week's speaker suite, because I'm a keynote speaker, workshops, as well as all my AI strategy consulting work at Bot Builders, the agent was doing research on what are the speaking opportunities, business conferences here in Phoenix, Scottsdale area, give me a list once a week, and then finding the key individuals, the point people to contact. And it also sent out messaging to them to pitch me as a speaker. Now, today I want to do something completely different. But before we get into that, let me recap some things about agents. Here's a nice visual thing that I think it's 9X is the company that created this. But I love this kind of visual that kind of breaks down the difference between automation versus AI workflow versus AI agent. Automations is purely the connecting, the integrating of tools. This tool to that tool to that tool to that tool, like a Zapier or Make, an integration. Technically, before there was Zapier and Make and no code tools, there was, developers needed to go through APIs and webhooks and program it. But no code tools makes it easy for anyone. But now you go from automation to AI workflows is where you have like a Make, a no code tool that connects tools, but in between those connections, you can have AI to do some work in the middle. It can grab a contact, maybe do some research, and then connect that contact to another workflow or another tool. Maybe use another AI to do something else, maybe design an image, and then connect to another tool, maybe like Canva, to publish that image out. So it's a connection, it's a combination, right? A lot of decision making in between. And then lastly, you got the AI agent, which if it's fully agentic or fully autonomous, then theoretically the AI does the thinking, the planning. It connects tools on its own. It just does the whole thing, and there's not a lot of conditional logic and specific things in the middle. So, but again, you can look through this visual here and kind of see the difference. You got the decision-making stage, the data and the adaptability stage, and then the reliability or risk tolerance, right? The more agentic a thing is, more AI, the more you let the AI do the thinking, the more risky it is, which honestly is not, you don't always want AI to do the thinking, especially if you are a subject matter expert. You know what you do, you know your workflows, you know what works best. To me, those ideal situations is that you really define your own playbook, your own workflow, and you tell the agent to follow your rules, your steps, your decision-making frameworks, and not like delegate the responsibility to AI to do everything. Anywho, you got questions on building agents or an AI workflow or what you can integrate to automate your business, definitely reach out to me. That is what we do all day, every day. So let's get into one last thing. As I mentioned, when you're really looking at AI agents, there are multiple aspects. They have a trigger. What starts the agent to get to work? Is it able to plan, make decisions, perform tasks, access other tools? Does it have a memory, long-term memory, short-term memory? And then how does it output its results? Okay, so now today, I want to highlight one of the most powerful agents in the world today for lead generation, lead enrichment, for building out an entire TAM or the entire total addressable market for your strategy for your business. And Clay is like the leader of that, right? Last week when I showed you my speaker agent, it was like a sharpshooter, very specific. When I use Clay, it's when I want to look at every single company that can be found in the world that meets certain criteria. And this agentic workflow is what I'm going to show you today and how I use this in me trying to find leads and clients and doing business development. So let's switch over to Clay, and I'll just give you a sample of what my setup looks like. So here is my Clay setup. Specifically, when I was researching, I think last year I was looking into real estate agents and the real estate market. And so what Clay would do, and again, you can think about these columns as the logical steps and how it's building out information. So to kind of summarize what we did was we used LinkedIn as the source of where we would go to find and build out our list of opportunities. So the first step was we have a search to go into LinkedIn, find every person who's in real estate. Okay. And then it would automatically fill out company information, first name, last name, blah, 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 blah. And then it would stop. We would stop at, we got the company domain, and then we got their LinkedIn profile. That was the first step. And then with Clay, you can enrich the detail. You can use AI in the conversation. So this column was, okay, let me use OpenAI to go through every single person's information. We got 24,000 rows of contacts, so it's a lot of people. And I used AI to look at each individual person and confirm that their job title is actually an agent, right? This one says false, not a head of sales, right? Not a sales executive, not someone in business development, just whatever. So we really wanted to be specific about who the ICP was. So that was here where we had AI doing that. The next step was a third-party tool that we used to enrich, find me the work email for this person if they are a real estate agent. So only if it's true are we going to go through and find their email address, right? Got the email address, found out what was true. But then we did more enrichment. We will validate this email. You found the email. Let's check to make sure this email is actually working. It's not going to blacklist or not going to bounce. So you see here, invalid email, invalid email, invalid email, valid email. So that's the only ones I want, right? So we have to distinguish valid emails versus non-valid emails only on the people who are the ICP. But there's more. We don't want catch-alls because sometimes catch-all email addresses, they don't open it. That's kind of a generic throwaway email address. We don't want to do that. They've gotten lots of spam. Next, we had another step where we would check, is this a Google Workspace email? Is this a Microsoft 365? Is it unknown? Is this some kind of IMAP, SMTP? Again, we're like enriching. So we went from lead generation to enriching to figure out, is the information valid, and if it's going to be using an ESP that we can actually get our emails delivered through. All right, a couple more steps. We want to go back to every single person, only on the people who are valid, only on the people who we like their email address. Now we want to check what city are they based in so we can make our messaging more specific to them. And then the last step, once we get their city, we would load all those final emails into our email sending platform, which is Instantly for this campaign. So this is a good overview of the Clay system, the Clay agent that's great for GTM type work, building out your entire town, finding your ICP and your target audience, and enriching hundreds of thousands of contacts in order to prepare them for your marketing campaign. Okay. So that is a little bit of an overview of how Clay works. Again, we're going to do this for 12 weeks. This is week 2 of our AI Agent of the Week. If you have questions of how do you add AI into your business, sometimes we say you use just an AI model and get training and literacy and fluency on that. Sometimes we're going to say we need to just put AI into your existing automations to make your automations more intelligent, more personalized. And then thirdly, we may build out an entire AI agent or AI agentic workflow so the AI is doing stuff for you on your behalf 24 hours a day. If you got questions about AI and AI agents for your business, for your growth in 2026, hit me up. That's all I got. Create a great day. Peace.